Kevin and Forrest Gump.
Yeah, I've worked with him in the past, and we had a wish list of people that I wanted to work with, and he was one of them. And he was kind enough to say yes, and we're so grateful for that. I, again, worked with him in the past, and I was fortunate, and he's the coolest guy that I met in my journey so far, and I was so grateful that he was able to do that.
The amazing thing about this film, I mean, I feel like I'm the one, like, they're the artists, they're putting it all together. I'm living it every day. We're prosecuting people who are cruel to animals. We're seeing the connections. We're working with the at-risk youth. But each time I see this film, and I think I can't do what they're doing at all. But if you look at where we're living now, I'm starting to realize that aside from the fact that the common denominator is empathy, it really is both the problem and the lack of and the solution, the reinsertion. If you look where we are now, this film is also anti-ignorance. We're living in a climate where, you know, science is stupid, you know, where people don't want to know anything and not realize a lot of the fact-based information that go to all the different segments of the film. We're seeing babies separated from their mothers at the borders. We're seeing populations being referred to as other, and we're seeing a tremendous lack of empathy in the way this country is being, in the fix that we're kind of in right now. I don't want to make a political statement one way or the other, but I'm seeing a lot of lack of empathy in policy and a lot of poo-pooing of science. And when you see that in real life, you realize how important it is that we also teach teachers and social workers about this behavior in a child. You could see it as early as preschool, a child doing something that shows a lack of empathy. You can fix it then, and then hope that we mentor the right behavior and counter some of the behavior that we're seeing.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Talking about empathy, because what I'm thinking is, you know, how in our daily lives are we able to restore empathy to people? I see so many people watching the videos on our social media. We go through them, we're just like click, like, you know, videos, animal cruelty, farming, all of that. So there's so many like intricate little issues as to why we got so unempathetic. So how in our daily lives, when we have conversations with our friends, with our coworkers, with strangers, can we restore empathy again to get people to want to care and not just watch a video and then move on?
By doing it. It's the random acts of kindness. If you have children, you know, I once got stuck with the school frog when my kids were younger, and the frog was not doing well, so it's a neighborhood school, so I called the mobile vet, $9,000, and I called the mobile vet to come to the house. And I wasn't doing it so much for the frog. It was letting the children who were watching the vet examine the frog, that if you take a responsibility, if you have control over the frog, if the frog gets sick, you call a doctor. If the kids get sick, the mother calls a doctor. And by just being mindful of that, I mean, Harold Ramos calls himself, you know, Buddhist. I've been called a Boo-Jew. And so it's just being mindful of that. Like, if you did something nice in my house, my kids would remember that for life, rather than me tell them you have to be kind. So if we all did it and just did something nice and just stopped and thought, who's watching, before you make a choice as to how to handle a situation, the children will listen. And that's really our future. We're not going to teach some 75-year-old entitled person to now start being empathy.
72.
Is he 72? I'm not mentioning any names. I run a charity. I can't mention any names. But you're not going to get the change there so much. You can scare them in other ways, you know, but you're not going to get them to become empathetic. But you can in your day-to-day life, mentoring, modeling, demonstrating, and just doing it. And when other people start to watch, then they do it.
It is like that. It's that little tiny moment. It's just a ripple thing. It's just like it affects everybody around you. How many times has somebody just been really kind to you in the morning and you're like, oh, and then you just unknowingly are kind to someone else, and it kind of just spreads. It spreads out. it's dominoes, it's the butterfly thing, you know, it's that thing.
And they remember it, they remember
Yeah.
watching you do it, it's weird. Because
Well,
it always
with
comes
food-
back to me when they're grown-ups.
How do we get people to be empathetic? Because I hear so many people, you know, I work in health and wellness and also a nutritional coach. And people are, well, I like my bacon, I like my burger. And they don't even care that it's an animal. They're like, I don't care, I like it. So,
Well,
But eventually they will get sick, and when they're sick, when they're paying these high hospital bills on pharmaceutical drugs, and when they see people close and loved ones die, that's when they'll sit up and say, hey, something's wrong. That's when a light bulb will click.
It's like, you know, you're diagnosed with cancer, the first thing the doctor is gonna say, change your diet. So the question is, why are we waiting for that to happen to us? Why are we not being more proactive? One quick note about Mrs. Gandhi, she was edited out actually quite a bit from the movie, because the things that she was saying are 100% true, and I agree, but I don't think the society is ready to hear that. So let's say 10 years from now, if we, release the movie, there's probably going to be quite a bit more of Mrs. Gandhi. Like one of the things she said, if you want to fight cancer, just change your diet. I think in the movie she did say, if you want to change the world, the first thing to do is stop violence with other animals, other species, and she had many more other examples of that.
Personally, I feel like at the very least what you can do is, if you want to be a carnivore, that you should at least have some reverence and, eat organic, where animals are free range, where they're not being tortured, and it's in the movie, they're not in cages. At least